You're tuned in to the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast.
Welcome back to the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast, where we are showcasing the coolest brands and gifts while featuring movers and makers. I'm your host, Lenore, and today we're going to learn how long-standing actor Ed Begley Jr., known for his roles in Saint Elsewhere and most recently in Young Sheldon, became an advocate for environmental issues. He believes even the simplest changes in your everyday lives can create a lasting effect on the world around us, which led to the creation of Begley's Earth Responsible Products, a line of natural household products. Ed Begley Jr., welcome to the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast.
Thanks for having me on, Allie.
So from going from an actor to an environmentalist, how did you get there? Like where was that push that really wanted you to help save the earth?
You know, it started back in 1970. I became an actor in 1967. I wanted to be in it my whole young life because my dad was an actor. I imagine if he had been a plumber, I'd want to do that. But I was drawn to that, and I didn't work much from 67 to 70. I was mostly an assistant cameraman, but I had a keen interest in the environment as well as acting because I grew up in LA. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. We had horrible choking smog for the first 2 decades of my life. And so when people said we're going to have something called Earth Day in 1970, and they intended to clean up the air and clean up the water, I went, sign me up, because I knew it was something we needed to do. The air was very, very bad for many years in LA.
I could imagine. You know what? It's amazing that for the last year or so, when there hasn't been as many cars on the road, I've noticed that I feel like I've been able to see a lot more clouds and a lot more like fireflies and just less pollution from us not driving in the last year as well.
Yeah, that's been a real test of what can be accomplished. Another real world thing that has occurred since 1970, we have 4 times the cars in LA since 1970, millions more people, but a fraction of the smog. Even with all those new people coming in and more cars, we've not only held the line against, a greater amount of smog, but we've pushed it back and proven that with catalytic converters and cleaner power plants and cleaner public transportation, all the stuff that we did, it all helped and worked, and we can make the air all the way clean. We still have some work to do. I talk about cleaner air. It's not so clean for people who live near the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles, in San Pedro there, and the people who live around trucking centers and distribution centers for different, companies and what have you. They're still breathing dirty air. We have to fix that, but we've proven that we can do it.
One step at a time. And that's exactly your mission. Yeah. You can make a change. Every person gets a chance to make a change with their own everyday lives and with their own everyday products. And that really sparked you to make Begley's Best. So how did this idea really come about?
It started with a company called Begley's Best that I formed. I met this guy at Real Foods Daily in Santa Monica, and he said, I've been trying to reach you. I have these formulas for cleaning products that are non-toxic and what have you. And I'm a vegan, and it's really good for the environment and vegan friendly and everything. And I said, great. What I do? I signed a contract and I'll be the spokesperson. He said, no, we got to find a bottler for you, and you'll buy the drums of it for me and you'll bottle it. So suddenly I was in the bottling and shipping business. And I did that for years. And I just got too busy with all my acting work and other, speaking engagements, what have you. I didn't have the time to do that anymore. So, and the intention was also to give a lot of money to green charities. So when I can do that, I don't have to have a cleaning product business to do that. I can do that with my acting money and my green product money, just take those corporate dollars and put them into green, NGOs. So I folded up the company I started in 2004 or 5, then about 2009 or 10, I can't remember, 2007, actually, that far back, I folded it up, and I met this guy a few years later called Mark Cunningham, and he said, I want to have these cleaning products that are very, green and clean and vegan and everything, and they clean very well, and I want you to be the spokesperson. I went, that's exactly what I want to do. That's great. So I don't have to bottle anything or ship it out of my garage, what have you. He does all the work of that, and I get to vet the products and make sure they are as clean as everybody says they are. We have EPA design for the environment, certification. So they're very, very clean and good. And Mark's doing a great job in partnership with me.
How do you know, like, how do I know what's clean and what's not clean? Because I know the rule for food is that you should only eat stuff when you can read all the ingredients and you can pronounce everything on the back of the food label. Is that the same for, cleaning products as well? Like, what would I know that would make this so eco-friendly?
The key for me is third-party notification. Third-party certification, that you have somebody who's certifying it. Is not me certifying it personally, going, I did some tests at home and this works great.
In your garage while you're packing.
Right. You want to make sure that, it's somebody that really has a good, rigorous testing program. And EPA does have such a thing. It costs a lot of money. I couldn't afford to do it when I had my little Begley's Best company, but this larger company, Lab Clean, has the resources to do so. And that's the key. But before you start all that, you want to have a green product. You want to have it certified. That's wonderful. But it has to also clean very well. It's got to clean every bit as well as, Comet or Formula 409 or something like that. Ammonia-based products, what have you. They have some toxicity, but they clean well. So you have to start there, that you're going to make it clean and green, but it's got to work well. And all that stuff does. Mark has wonderful formulas, and they clean every bit as good as as the toxic alternatives.
I really do love that you have, cleaning products, for my kitchen, my bathroom, but the fact that you have, a pet stain and odor remover too, like, that's A+. Like, where did you decide to go into the pet aspect and not just like the cleaning supplies?
I've had dogs and cats over many years, and occasionally, they make a mistake, what have you, and different pets do it more than others. And so you want to have something to clean it up. And not only for yourself, but for the pets. They're down on the floor all the time with their paws on the floor and paws on this and that and licking their paws. And so you want to make sure that they're not around stuff, a floor cleaner or stain remover that is toxic, because then they get it into their little systems. They weigh, sometimes 15, 20 pounds, what have you, these smaller animals. And so by body weight, they're taking a big hit with these toxic chemicals. So you're doing it for yourself and your children, if you have children, and certainly your small pets, because they, by weight, take a big hit.
Which was the first product that you guys started out with? So I have here the waterless pet shampoo, which I think is pretty cool, like waterless, would have never thought. We have the floor cleaners, we have the hardwood floor cleaners, the countertop cleaners. What was the first product that really came out?
It was a all-purpose cleaner, because that's what I had before. I had an all-purpose cleaner with the previous company, and I wanted to have one of those, and I wanted a glass cleaner, and then I wanted something that could work with pet stains, and they came up with all those formulas very quickly. And my original company, Begley's Best, had just 2 SKUs, products. They're also called SKUs, SKU, and they, I had like just 2 of them, but this company, Lab Clean, quickly had, like a dozen of them set up for me to approve. And they all worked well. I tested them all right away. They worked so good. I went, let's launch all 12. And we did. And we started to sell them at, Gelson's and online and lots of other different places. And they've done very well over the years.
I actually have your Amazon page up in front of me, and I just realized you have a no iron wrinkle remover too. That is ideal, because I don't know how to iron well. So thank you for making a product like that.
It works great, and it's great for traveling. You can have it in a little container that you can travel with that, will pass TSA, yes. Liquid, requirements, what have you, the volume requirements. And you bring that, you just spray something and hang it, in the shower or what have you, or hang it on a hanger. It's not going to drip anywhere. You can hang it anywhere you like. And it'll just flip it like that, and it straightens out right away, and it has no wrinkles. So without an iron, you can have something, nice looking very quickly when you travel or at home.
That is a huge game changer, Ed. So thank you for making me aware of that product. Now, right now, there are a lot of urgent environmental issues that we are facing as a society and as a community. How can your products help solve those minor and major issues?
There's really 3 pillars to get anything done environmentally, like cleaning up the air in LA that I talked about earlier. How does that happen? One of the 3 pillars is something I've always cared about: personal action. What can you do yourself to clean up the environment, set an example for others. That's one. Personal action, how your purchasing power, voting on election day, then voting in the supermarket aisles and the showroom floors and the appliance stores. That's your vote with your spending power. Number two is corporate responsibility. Have companies that take responsibility and put out green products and put out, less toxic products. And three is good legislation, Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, things like that help you. And all three are related. If you're taking good personal action yourself, there's companies that are going to make more green products because there's a market for them. And if you get good environmental legislation passed, companies are more inclined to do the right thing and people more inclined to buy green products. They all three relate, but that's really what you need to have. You need to have all three: good legislation, corporate responsibility, and personal action from individuals. And that's how you make change.
So what are some tips that you have for us to live a little bit more of a greener lifestyle? Those three pillars?
Those three pillars are important, but the more important thing I'm going to say right now is don't get overwhelmed by the things that you cannot do. People regularly come up to me and others and say, I can't afford a Tesla car. I can't afford a Tesla Powerwall or solar panels on my roof. And that's an interesting list of the things you cannot do. The more interesting list for me is the things that you can do. Because when I started in 1970, I was a broken, struggling actor. I didn't have a lot of money for things. So I had to do things on a modest budget. Can you afford, to ride a bike when weather and fitness permit? Can you afford to take public transportation? Can you afford to buy an energy-saving light bulb? Can you buy an energy-saving thermostat? Can you put up weather stripping around your doors and windows? Home gardening, home composting. I don't have a backyard. I live in an apartment. I can't home garden. Can you put some things in a window box? Can you join a community garden then? Well, we don't have a community garden near me. Start one. For every no, there's an equivalent yes for something else. So start slow and build. You don't run up to the top of Mount Everest. You get to base camp and you get acclimated and you only climb as high as you can. Pick that low-hanging fruit first. And pretty soon, like me, after a few years of doing it, you have enough money to buy like a little solar oven to put in your backyard and cook some things. You have money to buy I have a solar oven. Sure, I bought that years ago. To get a rain barrel to collect some rainwater. But you start small, the cheap stuff, and pretty soon you can afford things that cost more.
You just blew my mind that there's a thing called a solar oven. Like, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they're very good. There's different brands. The Sun Oven is a wonderful brand. There's lots of different ones. Just look up, solar oven at Amazon or anywhere, and you find a bunch of different choices for different, price points and what have you. And they work very well.
Yeah, my latest green initiative in my life is I just put solar panels on my roof that I'm waiting to get inspected. And then I started getting a lot of the lights. So, when they line the pathways and then around the fence and stuff like that, because I don't have any of the electrical outlets in my backyard because I just bought like a new house. So I'm like, how the heck do I get light back here? But I need to take advantage of the light upstairs to bring the light down here.
Well done. That's just what I did years ago. And they've come a long way. The old ones were nickel cadmium batteries, which sadly have a memory. And if you don't fully charge them and fully deplete them, they don't last long. So the old solar lights didn't work, more than a year or two. So that wasn't very efficient or cost effective for people. But now they have nickel metal hydride or lithium ion batteries, something like that in them. You can half charge them, quarter charge them, half discharge, totally discharge them. And they just always get back up to full charge, over time. So the solar lights are very efficient now. They're very cost effective and, a lot cheaper than hiring an electrician to run wires out to your backyard and do all that. Really a winner.
100%. I could do this myself. It makes me feel accomplished that I don't have to ask anybody for help because I know exactly how to do it.
Yeah, I did the same. I did it in my backyard and front yard and it worked wonderfully.
So to grab any of your Begley's Earth Responsible products, you can head to begleysbest.com. You can check them out on Amazon too. They have all their products there ready for you to go in smaller sizes and in larger sizes too for you and your family. Check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/official Ed Begley Jr. On Instagram, Ed_Begley_Jr. And on Twitter, Ed Begley Jr. Thank you so much for joining us, showing us these incredible products and sharing to us how we can change not just our lives, but change the lives for others with little baby steps along the way.
That's the way to do it. Thanks so much for having me on.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Brand Ambassador Select podcast. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss one. More at brandambassadorselect.com, and we will see you next time.